Hey everyone, welcome back. I am really excited today because on this episode I'm going to be talking about the Grimm Forest by Druid City Games featuring artwork by Mr. Cuddington. In the Grimm Forest, King Reginald has plans to develop thousands of acres of lands in the mysterious and dark Grimm Forest. He could only think of nothing but the gold that's going to fill his treasure rooms once the land is cleared and building begins. Unfortunately, the royal builders, which are also known as the Three Little Pigs, have grown old and senile, and the last building plans that they prepared were houses and buildings shaped like pumpkins. King Reginald is now on the hunt for a new royal builder, and nieces and nephews of the Three Little Pigs have flocked to the kingdom to compete for that title. So to start the game, you're going to be taking one of the 4 player boards, and each represents a different landscape within some of the fairy tales that we've grown to love. So for example, you'll have Rapunzel's player board that has her tower and she's in the window with her hair hanging out. You'll have the Robin Hood player board that has him hanging out in the forest. Jack in the foreground is climbing up the beanstalk. You'll have Snow White's player board that is basically a wintry wonderland. And then you'll have Hansel and Gretel that are walking down a path heading to the gingerbread house. Artwork on these is once again amazing to look at. Then in the center of the table, you're going to set up the 4 gather location boards just so they're within reach of everyone. And these boards represent the different locations that you're going to send your pig miniature out to gather resources that are required to build the houses. Then you'll give 4 gather cards to everyone and give everyone a player aid. So I'm just going to give you guys an example of just how a normal round would play out. Okay, first we start with the gather phase. And to start the round, you're going to choose your gather card, and if you have one and want to play it, a fable card. The gather cards allow you to take your pig miniature and place it onto one of the 4 location boards in the center of the table, so you can gather the resources on them. Next up, you would reveal any played fable cards, and that is done in player turn order. Then simultaneously, you would reveal the gather cards and place your miniature onto those location boards. Then you'll collect resources, splitting up if multiple pigs went to the same location, and then the gather phase ends. Then you're going to move on to the build phase. And in the build phase, you get to choose any 2 actions. You could even do the same action more than once. Those actions are, you could build a house section, you could draw a fable card, gain straw, wood, or brick, or you could take a special action once per turn. And those special actions are usually provided by some of the friend cards that you might have in front of you. And you'll gain those friends by building wall sections on any of the buildings that you're trying to complete. And you could also gain a friend by completing an entire building. So to win the game, you have to be the first person to complete 3 buildings. And in case of a tie, it's the sturdiest buildings. So in this case, wood would beat straw and brick would beat wood and straw. So enough about how the game played. Let's get into the artwork. So like I said previously, on the player boards, you have artwork of some of these locations within these fairy tales. And it seems like every time I look at them, I'll discover something new. They're fun to look at. And also, like I said, the gather boards have artwork of these landscapes showing you what resources you would collect there. Now I'm going to move into my favorite part of the game, this card art. If you are a Disney fan, then this artwork's for you. In the Friends deck, most of the fairy tale icons are represented. You have Cinderella, Snow White and the 7 Dwarves, Rapunzel, Aladdin, Pinocchio, The Little Mermaid. They are all represented here, and Mr. Cuddington's art style is tailor-made for this. Then you have the gather cards that have artwork on it representing the pigs going to the various locations to gather resources. Then these fable cards are just icing on the cake. You'll have Mr. Cuddington's versions of Jack and the Beanstalk, of Beauty and the Beast. Then you'll have artwork representing dragons and bridge trolls that also have miniatures within the game. The artwork on these cards is just top notch. And again, like I said before, any Disney fan is going to eat this up. So now quickly I'm going to give a review of how well the game, art, and the mechanics mesh. In this case, I'm going to give it a 4. The game is just dripping with theme. A lot of the card art represents what they do in-game. The example that comes to mind is Pinocchio. So for instance, to start the round, you have to say out loud which gather card you will be playing. And at the end of the gather phase, if you told the truth, you're going to gain a bonus. Very cool, very cool. And in another example, the big bad wolf at the end of the gather phase All players at the wolf's location must destroy one straw or wood house. It's exactly what he did in the book. So just a little bit of background on Mr. Cuddington. Many might think that Mr. Cuddington is one person, but it is really a husband and wife duo behind the curtain. David Forrest and Lena Cassette. You can check out more of their artwork at mrcuddington.com, where you can see more incredible art from the various board game projects that they've done over the years. And they're also on Facebook at Mr. Cuddington, where you can see other projects they're working on, as well as links to interviews, etc. So like I said, I think Mr. Cuddington knocked it right out of the park. This game is amazing to look at. Well, everyone, that's it. If you are a Disney fan, you should definitely check out this game. This game is a thing of beauty and should be displayed in every Board Gamers collection. So again, check me out on all the various social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And in closing, just remember, board gaming is all subjective, just like artwork. Just get out there, try a bunch of different games, because you'll never know what you're going to like. Until next time, guys, take care.